Have you ever wondered how the Shogun, the military dictators of Japan, came into power and shaped the history of the country? Intriguing, isn't it? The shogunate, or bakufu as it's traditionally known in Japan, was a system of government that allowed military dictators, known as shoguns, to rule. These shoguns weren't just military leaders, they were the de facto rulers of Japan, holding the actual reins of power while the emperor was relegated to a largely ceremonial role. Now, let's take a step back in time to the Sengoku period, an era of constant military conflict and social upheaval that set the stage for the rise of the shogunate. This period, spanning from the mid-15th to the early 17th century, is the backdrop of the critically acclaimed FX series Shogun. The series brilliantly captures the political intrigue, cultural clashes, and the power dynamics of this tumultuous time in Japanese history. The shoguns were the linchpins of the Japanese feudal system, a hierarchical structure that was intricate and complex. At the apex of this system were the shoguns, followed by the daimyo, the powerful feudal lords. Beneath them were the samurai, the military nobility known for their code of honor, the bushido. The peasantry, artisans, and merchants formed the lower rungs of this societal ladder. But how did all this come to be? How did the shogunate system, which was to shape the history of Japan for nearly 700 years, come into existence? That's a story that starts with the rise of the samurai class and the decline of central imperial authority. It's a tale of power, ambition, and conflict, a saga that unfolds over centuries, full of intrigue and drama. Let's dive deeper into the history of the shogunate, starting from its beginning. The shogunate didn't just appear overnight. It was a result of years of political maneuvering and warfare. Stepping back into the Heian period, we find Japan divided and ruled by powerful clans, with the emperor merely a figurehead. Amidst this political turmoil, one figure began to rise above the rest, setting the stage for the birth of the shogunate, Minamoto no Yoritomo. Born into the influential Minamoto clan, Yoritomo was a warrior through and through. Yet, his strength wasn't just physical. He possessed a tactical mind, a vision for a unified Japan under a single military government. This vision was shared by many who were tired of the constant warfare and political instability. In the late 12th century, Yoritomo launched a rebellion against the ruling Taira clan. This was the Genpei War, a conflict that would reshape Japan's political landscape. Yoritomo's forces emerged victorious, and in the aftermath, he didn't just seize power, he fundamentally transformed it. In the year 1185, Yoritomo established the first bakufu, or military government, in Kamakura. The emperor granted him the title of Sei Taishogun, often shortened to shogun, meaning commander-in-chief of the expeditionary force against the barbarians. This was more than just a fancy title. It was a symbol of the radical shift in power from the imperial court to the military class. Minamoto no Yoritomo's reign as shogun was marked by a strong central authority, a nationwide system of vassals, and a focus on law and order. His government was a departure from the decentralized rule of the past, replacing it with a feudal system that would dominate Japan for centuries to come. With the establishment of the Kamakura shogunate, a new era had begun. This was the rise of the shogunate, a pivotal moment in Japanese history that would shape the country's future and leave an indelible mark on its culture. The Kamakura shogunate marked the start of an era where the shoguns held the real power. This period, spanning from the late 12th to the early 14th century, was a pivotal time in Japanese history. It was during this era that the samurai class rose to prominence, and the shogun, rather than the emperor, became the de facto ruler of Japan. The Kamakura shogunate was established by Minamoto no Yoritomo, a warrior who emerged victorious from the tumultuous Genpei War. He set up his headquarters in Kamakura, far from the imperial court in Kyoto, effectively establishing a new center of power. This was a strategic move that allowed Yoritomo to rule without the interference of the court nobles, marking the beginning of a military government. Under the rule of the Kamakura shogunate, Japan saw significant cultural developments. Zen Buddhism gained popularity, influencing everything from the arts to the samurai's martial philosophy. This era also saw the growth of a vibrant culture of storytelling, with epic tales like the Tale of the Heike capturing the heroism and tragedy of the Genpei War. However, the Kamakura shogunate was not without its challenges. Despite its military prowess, it struggled with internal conflicts and external threats. The Mongol invasions of the late 13th century put a massive strain on the shogunate's resources. Although Japan was able to repel the Mongol forces, the cost of the wars left the Kamakura shogunate weakened. The end of the Kamakura shogunate came in the form of a civil war led by Emperor Go-Daigo, who sought to restore imperial rule. This rebellion, known as the Kenmu Restoration, was initially successful. However, it was short-lived, and the shogunate system soon returned, paving the way for the Ashikaga shogunate. As the Kamakura shogunate fell, the stage was set for the rise of a new military government. The Ashikaga shogunate, also known as the Muromachi shogunate, was a time of conflict and cultural growth. This period, stretching from the 14th to the 16th centuries, was marked by the rule of the Ashikaga clan, who held the reins of power in Japan. The Ashikaga shogunate is often viewed as a time of political discord and social unrest. It was a time of recurring conflicts where regional warlords, known as daimyos, wielded significant power. However, amidst the turmoil, the era was also a flourishing period for Japanese arts and culture. The rule of the Ashikaga shogunate was characterized by a decentralized political system. The shogun's control was limited, and the daimyos held significant influence over their respective regions. This system, although chaotic, allowed for the emergence of unique cultural and artistic expressions throughout the different regions of Japan. One of the most pivotal events during the Ashikaga shogunate was the Onin War. This conflict, which erupted in 1467 and lasted for a decade, was a bloody dispute over the succession of the shogunate. The war resulted in extensive destruction, particularly in Kyoto, the capital, and marked the beginning of the end for the Ashikaga shogunate. Despite the political instability and conflict, the Ashikaga period witnessed a significant blossoming of Japanese culture. This era saw the development of no drama, the tea ceremony, and the distinctive ink painting style, sumie. The influence of Zen Buddhism also grew, profoundly affecting Japanese aesthetics and philosophy. In many ways, the Ashikaga period was a paradoxical time. It was a time of conflict and chaos, but also a time of cultural growth and artistic innovation. The Ashikaga shogunate's legacy is a testament to the resilience of Japanese culture, able to thrive even in times of discord. The end of the Ashikaga shogunate led to a period of civil war, known as the Sengoku period. This era, often termed the Age of Warring States, would see Japan's feudal structure pushed to its limits, setting the stage for the rise of the Tokugawa shogunate and the era of peace that would follow. The Sengoku period, or the Age of Warring States, was a chaotic time filled with political intrigue. It was a tumultuous era, marked by constant warfare and political instability, as regional lords, or daimyo, vied for power and control over the Japanese archipelago. This was not an age of centralized power, but rather a time when power was fragmented among countless daimyo. Each of these warlords commanded their own armies and territories, and their ceaseless struggle for supremacy led to a series of conflicts and alliances that defined the Sengoku period. Among the chaos, however, three figures rose to prominence, setting the stage for a unified Japan: Oda Nobunaga, Toyotomi Hideyoshi, and Tokugawa Ieyasu. These three men, often referred to as the three unifiers of Japan, would play pivotal roles in shaping the country's future. Oda Nobunaga, a daimyo of considerable ambition and military prowess, began the process of consolidating power. His innovative strategies and ruthless tactics paved the way towards a unified Japan, but his journey was cut short when he was betrayed by one of his own generals. After Nobunaga's untimely demise, his loyal retainer Toyotomi Hideyoshi took up the mantle. Hideyoshi continued Nobunaga's mission, successfully uniting Japan under a single rule. But even with his vast achievements, Hideyoshi could not secure a stable succession, leaving a power vacuum upon his death. It was Tokugawa Ieyasu who finally brought an end to the Sengoku period. Ieyasu seized the opportunity presented by Hideyoshi's death, and after winning the decisive battle of Sekigahara, he established the Tokugawa shogunate, a period of peace and stability that would last for over 250 years. The Sengoku period ended with the emergence of a new shogunate. It was a time of chaos and warfare, but it was also an era that gave birth to some of Japan's most influential figures. and the foundations they laid during this period continue to shape Japan to this day. The Tokugawa shogunate marked a period of peace and isolation in Japan. This era, also known as the Edo period, began in the early 17th century under the leadership of Tokugawa Ieyasu. A shrewd and pragmatic leader, Ieyasu played a pivotal role in ending the Sengoku, or Warring States period, and ushering in a time of relative stability and prosperity. Under the Tokugawa shogunate, Japan adopted a policy of sakoku, or closed country. The shogunate tightly controlled foreign relations and trade. Christianity was banned, and the country was closed off to most of the outside world, with the exception of limited, controlled trade with China and the Dutch. This isolation helped to maintain internal peace and allowed the shogunate to consolidate its power. One prominent feature of this era was the rise of a strong, centralized feudal system. The Tokugawa shogunate controlled the daimyo, or regional lords, through a system of alternate attendance, requiring them to spend every other year in Edo, the capital. This policy not only kept potential rivals close and under watch, but also strained their resources, making rebellion less likely. However, the Tokugawa shogunate was not without its challenges. The rigid social hierarchy, the samurai's discontent with their declining status, and the increasing pressure from Western powers to open Japan's borders all contributed to the shogunate's eventual downfall. By the mid-19th century, the shogunate was struggling to maintain control. The arrival of Commodore Matthew Perry and his black ships in 1853 forced Japan to open its borders, leading to a series of unequal treaties and a loss of faith in the shogunate's ability to protect Japan's interests. These internal and external pressures culminated in the Boshin War, a civil conflict that led to the Meiji Restoration and the end of the Tokugawa shogunate. The emperor was restored to power, signaling the end of the shoguns and the start of a new era. The fall of the Tokugawa shogunate marked the end of the shoguns and the start of modern Japan. The Shogun era has left a lasting impact on Japanese culture and has been a source of inspiration in the arts and media. The Shogun era, brimming with political intrigue, cultural clashes, and societal structures, has found its way into the hearts of many through literature, cinema, and television. Its influence is pervasive and enduring, offering a rich tapestry of narratives to explore. One particularly notable representation is the acclaimed FX series, Shogun. Based on James Clavell's 1975 novel, this 10-part series takes us back to the 17th century, when English pilot Major John Blackthorne finds himself stranded in Japan. Set primarily during the tumultuous Sengoku period, the series weaves in historical figures such as William Adams and Tokugawa Ieyasu, who serve as inspirations for its characters. Shogun delves into the complexities of power, religion, and societal structures in feudal Japan. It takes viewers on a journey, exploring the cultural clashes between Eastern and Western civilizations, and shedding light on a period of Japan's history that is both fascinating and intricate. One of the remarkable aspects of the series is its commitment to authenticity. The series prioritizes Japanese perspectives, with a significant portion of the dialogue in Japanese. This commitment extends to the cast, such as Anna Sawai's portrayal of Toda Mariko, a noblewoman and Christian convert. Sawai's nuanced performance, guided by co-star Hiroyuki Sanada, brings depth and authenticity to the character, steering clear of harmful cliches and stereotypes. Through these characters and their stories, Shogun invites us to navigate the intricate political and societal structures of the Shogun era, providing a window into a time and place that continues to intrigue and captivate. The legacy of the Shogun era continues to captivate audiences around the world. The history of the shogunate is a fascinating journey, filled with warfare, intrigue, and cultural growth. We began our journey with the mysterious origins of the shogunate, a system of military government that has left an indelible mark on Japanese history. We then delved into the rise of the shogunate, a period marked by the consolidation of power and the establishment of a system that would shape the course of the nation for centuries. Our exploration took us to the Kamakura shogunate, the first of the three major shogunates, where we traced the development of feudalism and saw the seeds of samurai culture being sown. The subsequent Ashikaga shogunate, though fraught with internal strife and conflict, was a period of cultural renaissance, and the birth of the iconic samurai warrior class. We then journeyed into the Sengoku period, a time of tumultuous civil war and shifting alliances before arriving at the Tokugawa shogunate. This era, characterized by peace and stability, ushered in significant societal and cultural changes, setting the stage for modern Japan. Our journey culminated in the exploration of the shogunate's influence on popular culture. From the acclaimed FX series Shogun to the myriad of films, books, and games that draw upon this rich history, the shogunate continues to captivate audiences around the world. While the era of the shogun has ended, its impact on Japanese history and culture remains evident to this day. The legacy of the shogunate, with its tales of power, religion, societal structure, and the iconic samurai, continues to reverberate through the corridors of time, entrancing us with its allure and mystery.